And the story is with a little boy on the beach shore, and there were thousands of starfish that washed ashore. And everyone knows that starfish needs to be in the water in order for them to survive. And so this kid was trying to throw them all back. He was throwing them back one by one. And a gentleman looked at him and said, "What are you doing?" And he said, I'm trying to save these starfish." And the kid looked at him and said, the gentleman looked at him and said, "Well, you're not gonna be able to save all of them." And then the kid looked at the guy intently in his face, and he looked back down at the starfish, and he threw it back out in the water. And he said, "But it mattered to that one."
Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Leadership with Glassstein. I am Glassstein with another conversation that could take your leadership to the next level. Tonight, our featured guest is none other than the schoolmaster himself. I'm going to call him the schoolmaster himself, Mr. Kevin Myers, a man that I really admire, a great leader, and you're going to learn a lot. Kevin Myers is the founder of RAIN Academy, School of Entrepreneurship. He will not only talk to us today about leadership, but we will get to talk about homeschooling, what it takes to be not only the founder of the school, but also participating or acting as a teacher during COVID-19. Just so much information will be in this live. So stay tuned, watch it all the way through, take out some pen and paper and take notes, because this guy will give you some type of nugget or something that you can just take with you on your journey.
Hey,
There we go.
There
we go.
Is it a good shot?
Good to see you, brother. Good to see you, man.
Man, likewise, bro. You know that.
Man, you look ready.
Always.
Okay. You stay ready.
Stay ready.
That's what I like to hear, man. That's what I like to hear. Well,
absolutely.
I've already introduced you. I've told everybody that you're the schoolmaster. I introduced you as the schoolmaster. I mean, and I've already told them that you're the founder of RAIN Academy, of School of Entrepreneurship. But for those that wants to get to know you a little better, give us some background about yourself, right quick. Just a quick overview.
That's easy. I started out and I hated school. And I didn't have the best upbringing as far as school goes. And as I began to matriculate through elementary, I actually remember one day sitting in class and counting how many years I had left in order to graduate high school, because I was done with it. You know what I mean? I was ready to be done with it. But I got into college and I met some awesome people, and that's what began to fuel my passion for learning. And that's what, I guess you can say, led me to this point. I just fell in love with learning, and that's just a key to life, I would say. So in college is more or less where I found my passion for education.
So you this is a big jump. This is a huge jump from someone that's starting off not liking school to someone that's founding a school and building it and has as much. How can I say this? I can't even find the word to describe your dedication to these students. How do you jump from not liking school all the way to building your own school? How do you do that?
Well, I mean, then it goes back to me leaving from college, and then I actually started working in a juvenile detention facility.
Okay.
And from there, I dibbled and dabbled a little bit with the education there, and I did some other things with students. And it's my passion just began to say, I'm like, you know, it was bigger than me from the beginning, right? And that's what I always say, your why has to be bigger than you. And therefore, you know, and therefore you'll do the things that everyone else won't do, and that's what carries us on. That's why, in a sense, we make it look very easy. People have tried to do it, and they'll call us crazy, but then we'll correct them. Like, we're not crazy, we're passionate, and that's a step above crazy. All right. And so, and that's just who we are. And so from that point, I just saw how education could change lives, and I still keep in contact with a lot of the students. I don't call them inmates or detainees. I call them students. And I still keep in contact with them, and I just watch how they went through life and how it changed them. With the information that I brought to them, helped them change their future. And I just say, you know, and then of course, you know, it was, you know, God woke me up one morning and told me to do it. And God will always give you a why that's bigger than you, because if you could do it, then you'll get all the credit, you know. And then that's all throughout life. If you look through every situation, anyone who did anything that was amazing in life, it always seemed like an insurmountable feat. But if you stick to it and stick with it, it definitely is worth it, and you'll see it accomplished. And people will say, well, how in the world did you do that? And a lot of times I'm like, well, just be crazy enough and passionate enough to stick with it, and you'll see it. You'll see it come to pass. And this is what we did. And of course, my amazing wife, who actually went to school for education, she actually loved school since she was in the womb. And you know, she was reading when she was, you know, she hadn't been introduced to the world yet. She was reading a book in her mom's stomach, and so she just was so passionate about it. And so, us together is a powerful force. And but yeah, I hope that answered your question. What makes
Yeah,
us
you know what they say, behind every good man there's a great woman, and
greater woman?
yeah, and that is, I can say from personal account that
Right.
that's true.
Yeah.
But you know, I really want to talk about this whole situation with, you know, COVID-19, and how you're dealing with with your students. I mean, because I know that you wear many hats, and one of the hats that you wear is a teacher to these students. And
Right.
how do you do that? How do you run a school and teach the students at the same time? How do you do that?
I ask myself that question all the time too. And if I don't know if there are many followers, I can't see who all has joined, but they can attest to what you're saying to be true. And many of them can high five and wave in and chime in as well. Uh, we prioritize. We compartmentalize a lot of things, and we basically make sure one box doesn't bleed over into the next. Sometimes we do spread ourselves very thin, because we try not to say no to anyone for the most part, and that can be very difficult. But we have our reasons, you know, and each person is different. Each person is an individual, and this is what we do at our school. We treat everyone just like they're an individual and not a number. And so, yes, this is why we wear so many different hats, and what we do, we make it look easy, but someone else tries to do it and wear them out. And so, just to keep it, you know, stay on topic, how do we do so many different things and still accomplish a lot? We're passionate. You know,
And,
everything that we do.
let me interject right here, because you said something. I mean, when you said hats again, it just triggered something.
Okay.
You're not only the founder,
Right.
the teacher,
Right.
but you're also
The janitor,
the counselor,
the bus driver,
the bus driver,
the disciplinarian,
the father figure,
father figure,
the
surrogate
mentor.
father, right? Mentor, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead, man. Tell me how.
Well, I mean,
How?
for our school, because our school was started with a different purpose in mind. Many people know I grew up without a father and without a mother. So, and then I saw how other kids around me who had father and mother figures in their lives, they were excelling so much faster than I was. No discredit to any single parents at all, but it is difficult to do everything by yourself. Okay, and you tend to miss very, very small points that make a big matter. And so that's kind of what happened with me. I was just kind of pushed through. It was like, I was told, hey, just as long as you don't bring any D's or F's, just, you know, I was like, what? So I said, wait, that means I can get C's? And so that was, and it was accepted. As long as I didn't bring any D's or F's, I was fine. So that is what kind of sparked us. And that's what our mission is to reform education through the family structure. So we basically provide those services as being that extra part. If you're a single parent, my wife and I will be the other part, you
Wow.
know. And so we kind of work together, and it works well. And we have so many different families with so many different situations, and we treat everyone as individuals, and no one is thrown like in like a conglomerate or anything like that. They're just all treated like individuals, and we see so many turnarounds, so many different things. I mean, gosh, dude, when we've gone extra miles and extra lengths that I don't even know if I could have got in trouble for, but but we had to do what we have to do. We get those phone calls in the middle of the night, and they're like, "Hey, you better come get him, or else I'm calling the police." And I'm like, "Don't call the police. I'll be right there." And
Wow.
those type of things, and those are calls of duty, and so that's why we don't turn our phones off. we keep the lines open. Like honestly, we do, and that's what makes us a difference maker, a game changer, and so. Yeah,
Did you set out to build that type of school? Because I know your mission statements and your vision talks about, reformation, but did you envision it? Is this the way you envision it to be, getting those late night calls and some of the new nuances that might come with your leadership?
absolutely,
Yeah, so
absolutely.
you signed up for this.
We signed up for it, just like in the
Wow.
military.
Wow.
When you sign up for the military, you know what you're signing up for. You signing up for either absolute death, or absolute injury, or absolute return home with glory. Either or you go AWOL or whatever, something like that. But you know what you signed up for, and this is what we signed up for, because this is what we knew was going to change this whole industry, and we wanted to bring change. Because again, more or less, my wife, she went into public school teaching. She saw the in and outs of it. Every situation has the pros and cons. I did teaching in public school for a year, and then back in 2008, when the Great Recession hit, they let in Volusia County, they let go 260 or 70 teachers all at once in 2008, and I was one of the ones that was let go, because that was my first year in. So the
Wow.
rule of thumb is last one in, first one out. And so whoever had tenure, which means 3 years or more, they were able to stay on. My wife was teaching more than 3 years, so she was able to keep her job. And they shuffled a lot of educators around during that time, and people were just misplaced and displaced during that time. So they were just trying to fill those empty voids. So that's what really started to make me say, hey, you know what? I really don't want to be at the decision making of someone else. Then on top of that, my passion for education really sparked, and I know that's what God did. Said, well, hey, you're a tree, you can stand on your own, go for it. You've learned, you've seen so many different things, and I think it's time to put those things together. And that's for anyone. If anyone is teeter-tottering on whether or not to take that jump, just go. What's the worst that can happen? You fail? Wow. So
You
what?
know, that's amazing. I mean, because it is a huge it is a
It is.
huge
It is.
jump. And
That's
with
why you have to be a step above crazy. That's why so
hey,
many people that would make decisions in the world, and change policies and stuff like that. Those are the passionate people, the
right.
people that dared to put it all online. Comfort is the enemy to greatness. You know that. So
And you guys have dared. And
absolutely, we've went
you guys are doing it.
off
You guys,
all everything in everything.
yeah. Yeah. You guys are definitely all in. And I do understand this, is that even though we're seeing, Kevin Myers here, sitting here, he talked about his wife. I do know that you have a phenomenal staff. And
Yeah.
so I
Oh
want you to
man.
just
Oh my
talk about
God.
give us a little bit of insight on your staff and how you're dealing with, being nearly shut down, and
Right.
how you're dealing with multiple family. Well, you're dealing with families.
Right. Family. Right.
Give us some background on that.
Yeah. First and foremost, man, our staff is family. They're not employees. And I know some people say you're blurring the lines of business and relationship type things. But I really believe that we should get along in a place of work. I don't believe in all that other nonsense. That works for us. Maybe it might not work for someone else. But anyways, I'm gonna table that. But it works for us. And so
Right.
my staff is stinking amazing, dude. I mean, during this whole situation, these these individuals locked arms, and they're actually putting in more hours than they did before, but because of all kinds of other stipulations, our hours had to be cut short. These are people that, and I'm responsible for these people, and I don't take that lightly. I could have just said, you know what, I'm just gonna cut the individuals that I don't need or don't want. I could have did that. That's a business decision. Somebody looked at me and said, oh, that was a business call. Yeah, go ahead. Good for you. But I'm like, no, I know this individual. I can't do that. How can you sleep at night and do that? You know what I mean? Like, again, I know business. I understand business. But when you're dealing with individuals that you call family, especially you identify, see, you can say family because that's a generic term, but when you give specific positions like a brother or a sister or a mother figure, you know what I mean? That you can't sleep at night knowing that you just called this person your brother. And you know what I mean? Like, and so that's what we did. And they actually stepped up to the utmost. And so our staff, even during this whole shutdown, we performed live lessons every day, with the exception of Fridays. We give the students Friday and the weekend off and come back Monday through Thursday. And we've done live lessons every day. We have a schedule in place. And of course, I deal with the high schoolers, and the rest of my staff deals so on and so forth. And our office staff, Miss Gist, oh my gosh, stinking amazing.
Yes.
She's the left hand. My wife is my right hand. She's that left hand. Anything that I need, she's right there. You go down, Miss Cigar, phenomenal educator. We call ourselves learning coaches as well. So we don't call ourselves just educators, learning coaches, because we teach our students how to learn. So she's phenomenal. She does her thing. Mr. Armstrong, my God, between he and I fishing during this whole break, I don't know how he does what he does. So things like that. Miss Gist, who's actually the daughter of Miss Gist, which her name is, we call her Miss Mo. She helps out. She does things. My gosh, dude. It's ridiculous, man. And they all stepped up. They all stepped up, literally. And I was actually like, man, I hope, and I said, I'm like, Lord, I know you're gonna take care of us. I know we're gonna be all right. And that's what happened. We did it.
And how there must be, I can't imagine the pressure that's on you every single day. because you've taken on this new family.
Right.
And you've said that I am going to weather this storm with you.
Right.
And everything else, circumstances, events, and people are telling you, hey, listen,
right.
you really have to make this boat lighter, so we got to get ready.
I like that. Make the boat, throw it overboard. That's what, yeah.
Yeah. Everything is telling you this. Life is telling you this because in reality is the reality is that you could put your family's financial financial position in danger.
Right.
But you chose to weather out the storm, and you're weathering out the storm because it's not over yet. You chose to go through.
Right.
How do you like what goes through your mind, and how do you process that? Because we all need that as leaders. We all need to understand how to process real life challenges.
Glaston, you know me. We spent several times talking on the phone for hours at hand. And what I'm about to say to you is the realest from my heart. I grew up hard. And I don't mean that lightly. And so I've learned over the years how to process things different from other people. I don't sit and pitch a tent in the middle of a storm. I go through it. I don't make excuses. I find solutions. So when everyone else is doing something, and I always tell my son, I tell my students, I tell my son, I said, listen, you guys, find out what everyone else is doing and do the opposite. Okay? because we're not followers, we're leaders. And I need to be that example for my people. So why does it matter to me? Because I always want my word. My granddad always told me, make sure your word is your bond, because with anything else, all you have in this world is your name and your word.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me, and it still sticks with me. So if I tell one of our starfish that I'm going to do something, I do it, and I'll break my back to try to do it, because a lot of times the kids have been, they have been so preconditioned to people letting them down. And that happened to me when I was a kid. We talked about this the other day. We always have those family members, and we call them wolf tickets in Miami. They sell those wolf tickets, and they'll tell you, hey, yeah, nephew, I'm going to do such and such. And then you sit there, you're waiting, and that's the innocence of a child. Children want to believe. They want to believe in people, especially adults. And so our job is to make sure we coddle that, and make sure the children do believe in adults, so that way that when they become an adult, they don't let their children down or other people down, And that's how we do it. We have to be that leader first. That's what I want to do. So that's why we put ourselves in financial jeopardy, just to make sure that our family, not staff, our family is taken care of. And we figured out all kinds of ways to make this thing work. And we some of them actually doing great right now,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
we positioned them to do this. And so it's just, man, come on. You got to be that leader. You have to be the one. And I study, we study a lot of different leaders. And one for sure, what I love the most are the ones that were in battle. And they weren't
Right.
just about talking. They weren't just about talking. They'll tell you, hey, we're going to go over this trench right here, and the enemy's on the other side. And all right, I want you guys to, hey, pick up your swords, get your shields. Let's get ready to go. And before everybody turns around and get hoorah, rah, rah, and the leader's already gone across the field. And now they got to catch up to the leader. That's what I want to be. You got to catch up to me, because I'm going to lead by an example. I'm not just, I don't want to talk. I hate people that just talk, and never have anything to back it up.
I'm wondering, did anyone volunteer to be the sacrificial goat as part of your team? Did anyone come to you and say, hey, you know what? If you have to let someone go, I'll go.
Yeah, we actually had two people to do that.
Wow.
Yeah, we had two people that were willing to just, make the sacrifice, and they were going to say, oh, well, we'll just file for unemployment, and we'll wait until whenever that comes in, or whatever the case may be. And I couldn't do that, man. I mean, dude, we dug deep. I mean, we went out, we filed, in the banks, we went and applied for a line of credit. We tried to do everything. We went for
Right.
the line of credit, applied for the SBA loans, did all that stuff, and still no one's gotten back to me on anything. We got one little thing. I can't even remember where that's from, but it just appeared in our account. So I was like, Lord, thank you. So I took that immediately. No, seriously, I took that immediately, and I
Nice.
blessed. I went straight to the staff, and and the great part about it is they were not even expecting it, and so they woke up the next morning, and they just had a nice lump of change in their accounts, and then I was waiting to get the text message. I was just waiting to see who was going to say what. And I got so many text messages that morning. They were like, oh, my God.
That's
It's
awesome.
a mistake. Is it a mistake? I was like, no, it's not a mistake. God bless. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much for being a part of the family. Peace. And
That's awesome.
that meant the world, man. It really did.
Yeah, those
Anytime you
little
lead,
things, those little things like that means the world to us.
yeah.
You
And
know, I just want to shift gears right now, because you mentioned a word that I really admired. From the day I was at the school and got to see these wonderful students. You named them starfish. Could you give us some background of why you named them starfish?
There's a story. I don't know. No one knows who the author of the story is. And the story is with a little boy on the beach shore, and there were thousands of starfish that washed ashore. And everyone knows that starfish needs to be in the water in order for them to survive. And so this kid was trying to throw them all back. He was throwing them back one by one. And a gentleman looked at him and said, What are you doing? And he said, I'm trying to save these starfish. And the kid looked at him and said, the gentleman looked at him and said, well, you're not going to be able to save all of them. And then the kid looked at the guy intently in his face, and he looked back down at the starfish, and he threw it back out in the water. And he said, but it mattered to that one. And so that's what tugs my heart every time I tell that story, because it matters, to that one. It don't matter about the masses. We don't get involved with numbers at our school. People, I go to so many different meetings with so many different professionals and principals and headmasters of other schools, and they're all, yeah, our enrollment is up to 260 now. We have 190. And I'm like, well, how many of them do you actually know?
Right.
How many of those children whose houses you've actually been to? How many of them you've actually sat down and ate dinner with? Have you been to a birthday party? Have you went to a soccer game or a baseball game? Do you even know them?
Mm.
And that's what matters to me. We're not interested in them, man. Listen, God didn't bring us as far to leave us. And so I don't care about a number. I really don't. I'm telling you this is the God honest truth, dude. I don't care about a number. I care about the individual that will turn back to me 10 years later and say, thank you for believing in me. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you
Yes.
because you were my
Yes.
last hope. You were my last line. If it wasn't for you, and these are true statements that these kids have said to us. If it wasn't for you,
Right.
like, come on, man. And I don't take credit for that. I just know that this is our job. This is what we're supposed to do. I do it because we're supposed to, not because I have to.
And those words, if it wasn't for you, just
Yeah.
touch you, man. I
It make it
mean,
all worth it. Because
it makes
I
it
have gray
all
hairs.
worth it.
I don't know if you can see. I have gray hairs in my beard, and I name them after every one of my children that actually gave them to me. Because there were, there are some dark days and nights, but there are some bright, bright mornings, y'all.
Yeah.
It makes the true. It gives everything worth meaning, because you have to go through that gutter phase, because so many of them don't believe that you're actually going to stick with them. And I always tell them this. I say, you're going to quit on me before I quit on you.
Wow, that's powerful.
I tell them that, and I mean it.
That's
And
powerful.
they'll tell you, even if they walked away, they'll tell you the truth that they walked away. Mr. Myers and Miss Deon never turned their back on us. Never.
Man, that's so powerful, man. There's another dynamics here that not everyone knows, that this little teeny weensy thing that I want to talk about. I want to talk about your son for a moment. Now, your son attends your school.
Right.
How do you guys handle those dynamics? How do you switch from father to teacher, from teacher to father at the end of the day or at school? I mean, and how
Oh,
and your son, how does he deal with that? And we're gonna get your son on here one day to
okay.
talk to him about that.
Well, we have two kids at our school, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because it's interesting, because our children, we treat them no different than any of the other students at our school. We don't even realize it, but they, even at home, they still call us Mr. Myers and Miss Myers.
Wow.
Yeah. And we did that purposely. We did that purposely. We don't even pay attention to
Wow.
it. And so, some people will come over and say, "Did they just call you Mr. Myers?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, my bad. We just, we keep it professional, And and it's funny, because we have to do that so that no one would ever accuse us of nepotism, and no one ever say, "Oh, you treat your child better than ours." And so we've actually have kids to tell us that you're harder on your kids than you are on us. So and I
I'm
love
sure
that.
your son would agree.
Oh, absolutely, wholeheartedly. There are no two ways about that. There are no two ways about that, brother. Trust me. And he understands, because I speak to him like an adult. I don't sugarcoat things. I explain to him what things are and how they should be, and so he responds to me like an adult. That's why he's very mild mannered. He listens and he understands. And he can even speak with adults in their own conversation. I don't care if it's politics or sports, because he watches me, and that's how he knows how to carry himself, like a gentleman. So,
Right.
with that being said, the dynamic is he knows what we're expecting from him, and his bar is set way higher than anyone else, and so he knows that he can't bring anything in less than that, because that's what we expect, and that's what he aims for. And the same thing for my daughter. Same thing. I mean, we don't take it easy on her either. She slips in certain areas. So my son excels. He gets his brains from me. I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Don't worry. I'm putting this on YouTube so your wife will see it.
Listen, no. All right, edit that part. He gets that from his mom. His mom is straight. She's a bookworm. She graduated UCF in 3 years. You know, I mean, just phenomenal. Whereas my daughter is exactly like me. She's counting the days till she's like finished with school. She's done with it already. But we know what fix. We know how to fix that situation. And consistency is the key. So like with most people who are struggling at home right now with the COVID situation, they're not as consistent as they should be, and they're not as flexible as they should be with students or with their own children, because now they're seeing, oh, what we told you, what was happening in school, now you're seeing it firsthand at home. And now we're like, oh my God, we can't wait till you open the doors back. We're going to send them. Can they stay with you? And we're getting all these different types of responses. And we're like, well, just be patient. You know, this is a great opportunity for you to learn your child, so you know who your son or daughter is. And so our two kids, we have to treat them in a sense like individuals. They're different. They don't learn the same at all, all. And you have to know that as a parent and an educator. You can't. This isn't a cookie cutter industry. Everyone does not learn the same way, and so that's what we give. We give extra attention to our daughter. Our daughter has to do extra tutoring. We're not shy about this stuff. We have our learning coaches. Some of our learning coaches have volunteered to help her out, give her extra help, because she's just she you know, and when she catches it, she gets it. Whereas my son, he gets it on the first time and it's like, oh well, whatever. But then that's kind of dangerous too, because people don't know that highly intelligent people have the highest rate of dropout, not the people who struggle in school. Because you know what? You know what the funny part is? And any educator that's watching this right now will tell you this is the truth. All the kids that you wish that missed school are always the first ones there.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the problem childs, the problem children, the ones that you just say, man, why don't he just miss 10 days? God, you know, when he comes in, oh my goodness, I'm telling the truth. I don't care who likes it or not. You know, you have that kid in the classroom. He shows up every day. But then you'll have that one kid who's super intelligent, who's 10 pages ahead of you in the coursework, and then they'll start missing class because they'll say, oh, I already know this stuff. I don't need to go to school.
Yeah.
They're
bored.
Yeah, they're bored. Absolutely. But our kids can't say that. There's no room for boredom. It's too much work. And we've actually had parents to say, y'all get more work now than y'all did when we were in regular school. I was like, no, that's not true. No way. Nowhere near it. So anyway, yeah. So our kids, we don't treat them any different than any other students in our school. We have high expectations for them, and they do well in their own rights. So
that's wonderful. I mean, it's phenomenal just watching the relationship that you guys have fostered. It's just a beautiful thing. And you know what? That's a great segue to ask you. You know, now that you're not face to face with these students anymore, and you have to go virtual, is it? I mean, how do you structure that virtual classroom, and is it more difficult now than ever?
It's the key word that you just said, structure. Everything rises and falls on structure. So we have a schedule that we uphold in our school, which we call the master schedule. We have each of our learning coaches are responsible for their sections with the individual students and their grades. And so that's how we organized it. So we didn't skip a beat per se. You know, when all the other schools, they were still trying to figure this stuff out. We were already ready to go. We had a few things we had to tweak because again, our staff, we teach from scratch. We bring all of our stuff together. A lot of our stuff, our learning coaches, they bring to the table themselves. They'll garner some things from different textbooks and things like that. But for the most part, they're teaching for real. And especially my wife, because she makes these curriculum things. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, you have to speak C++ in order to cipher it. So you know, things like that. And so we were ready. We just jumped right into it. We put all of our effort into it. And you know, the first week, the biggest problem was the parents trying to understand the internet or the technology. That was the biggest struggle, right? Because remember, prior to that, no one else, we did everything.
Right.
They didn't have to understand anything. And
Right.
so what happens is a lot of times when people don't understand stuff, they just automatically quit. They'll throw it out. You know what I mean? And this is what happened. This is what happened with a lot of our parents because they didn't understand it. And then they will tell their children, oh, well, this is too much. They're going too far. And and they feed that to their kids. And then the kids will be like, I mean, they're kids. They're impressionable. What would you do? You wouldn't stand up to your mom telling you not to do this work, right? You'll be like, way to go, mom. You're the best mom ever. Where has this been all my life? Let's go. I'm not doing this work online. You know, and so in the whole time we're here and we're like, if you don't understand something, let's video chat. We'll walk you through it step by step. So we were having just issues like that with people not adhering to the structure of what we put in place. And the main thing we always tell people is to be flexible. During times like this, you have to be flexible. I didn't say break. I said be flexible. You don't understand something? Give it some time. Slow it down. Go at your pace and your process. That's the key. And that goes for educators as well as for parents. For an educator, if someone's not understanding this and their typical learning environment is a traditional learning environment, don't beat your head up against the wall. Don't bang your axe up against the stone just because they're not getting it off top. Figure out a better way. The next step is to be creative.
Right.
Be creative and spontaneous. So these are the three things. Three things I just shared with you were kind of like my three bullets in a sense was be flexible, be spontaneous / creative, and then the other one is be consistent. Create a schedule, create a structure, and then that's how you win and succeed. And always congratulate on milestones that are accomplished. You know, I don't care how you do it. But for the most part, don't at this time right now, I think this is a great opportunity for parents and children to learn each other, find out where your strengths and weaknesses are. Because remember this, home education was the first form of education before publicized education. People don't know that. People think that public education was the that thing they think has been around forever. No, this is a nuance. Public education came about because of the Industrial Revolution, because people had to go to work now. The parents had to go out to work. You had to farm mom out now. Now guess what? No one's home to watch Timmy anymore. Oh, let's create this box and call it school and throw everyone in it. You know, whereas we were doing great. I mean, we have several scholars that have developed or derived from home education. They were actually mentored and tutored by other scholars.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? You follow what I'm saying? And what better education to get than one-on-one?
Yes.
One-on-one, and you do it at your pace and stop trying to shove everything down everyone's throat. Let's talk about that. Shoving everything down someone's throat in 10 months and think that everyone's supposed to get it at that pace. No one addresses that, right? In 10 months, you expect us to learn everything in the whole wide world. Come on, be real. Everyone learns at their own pace. Everyone has a different learning style. So let's address those things. So now we're like, oh, if you can't do this, then you're slow. Or if you can't do it, come on, dude, that's not right. That's not fair. It's not fair at all. So this is why we throw all those things away. We throw them away. Throw them away. I don't care about that stuff. I don't care about standardized testing, even though as the part of the Department of Education, we have to issue standardized testing in order to see where the students are. But we don't bombard them with that. We don't tell them, hey guys, next month we're going to do such. They don't even know when the test is coming half the time. So that they don't have to go through that mental anguish and anxiety.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're freaking out, losing weight or going through all this stuff. It's like, it's nuts, man. That is nuts. You put all that unnecessary pressure on your child for what? So you can walk around and say, oh, my child scored a 5 on the FCAT. Give me a break. Right. You didn't even have a part in that. You know, let's be realistic. And that's why I think this whole COVID situation is bringing us back to reality. Go look at your child. Go spend time with your child. Understand what they're struggling with and figure out how to solve the problem. And if you need help, find a professional educator to develop a plan, a structured plan in order to reach the goal that you want to reach. You know, that's like trying to let a boat dock itself. You know, that'll never happen. Never happen. But we have to have a person directing that ship, and that whoever it is, it doesn't matter. I mean, as long as they have the best interest in mind and they're certified in education, you know.
I really love the way you incorporated the growth mindset and the fixed mindset with your message,
Yeah.
because you really gave highlighted what the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And
Right.
it's evident that you're encouraging a growth mindset. And
Absolutely.
and that also goes for the parents, right? We have
Absolutely.
to be as flexible with them, because this is new technology. I mean,
Right.
the COVID-19 quarantine thing has enabled people to kind of meet themselves.
Mm.
they
Wow.
they they they
Wow.
they're not running into reality, they're running into themselves.
Wow.
because
Yeah.
because the old mindset was that after I was done with high school, that's all the learning that I ever had to do.
Right.
I'm done with that. I'm not learning anything. Because we started, because it all started, because after high school it was like, man, after I'm done with high school, I am going to be entertained from now on. I'm going to
Right.
watch all the
Wow.
football games. I
Wow.
am
Wow. Wow.
going
Wow.
to
Come on, bro. Don't start.
um
You're gonna
you
open
know
up another can of worms.
I am going to watch all the episodes of Seinfeld. I
Right.
am going to be entertained. I want things to entertain me. The
Right.
learning, the learning journey that
Man.
some
Can,
were on in the past, it's
can,
just stopped.
can I say this? And
Yes.
it's because it's just like anyone that, like, when they say, "Oh, well, I don't read books because I just don't like reading books." And listen, the reason why people don't read books is because they haven't found that one book that sparks their interest, right? I say that to say this: they haven't run into that one educator that will bring out the best you, and that will make you fall in love with learning for the rest of your life. And this is where I derive the statement: the moment that you stop learning is the moment that you begin dying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so the more we begin to feed that into our children, our starfish, the more they'll begin to perpetuate that. And I've heard adults say that before. Oh, tell me, when am I going to ever use this formula in life again? And I'm like, well, guess what? You're using it now. And I said, you wasn't ready for that one, huh? And I always told people, you always want to be ready.
Yeah.
You always want to keep your mind sharp. I knew this one lady, this church I used to go to, she was still taking community college courses, and she was like 80 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
80
had one in
years
my
old.
class. Yep. I had one in college. Mm-hmm.
Keeping her mind sharp.
Yep. Yep.
Come on, dude.
Smartest
And that's what I'm
person in the
saying.
class.
Come on, dude. Come on, dude. I would take more advice from a person that's well in age than to someone who's equal on the same level. I don't care if you
Right.
got $1 billion. I want to know what that person that's 90 years old. What have you seen? Because you've been around longer than
Yeah.
all of us,
They they
combined.
they 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 don't have just experience, they have wisdom.
Right, man, absolutely. And so that's why I said I think we got to do more of educating people to actually
Right.
love learning, and stop being so lackadaisical and just say, oh well, I don't have any homework anymore. I'm adult now. I don't have a test to study for, and that's kind of a scapegoat. And they're like, oh, it's okay. It's not okay, bro. It's not okay to be lazy like that, man. I'm telling you, you actually can mentally be dead. You can be a dead person mentally walking around causing all kind of havoc. Because I always tell this, and most of my students, if any of my students are on here right now, they'll tell you. I'll say, an ignorant person is a dangerous person.
Right.
Okay,
Mm.
you walk around, you can hurt people, you can mismanage things, you can put your family in jeopardy, you can do all kinds of stuff based off of your ignorance.
Mm.
And that's dangerous, dude. And it's careless. It's careless. I always want to know a little bit about a lot.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah.
You know, and if I can get more people to do that, dude, I mean, imagine where we can be right now as a people.
I
You
mean,
know,
you're doing it because as you're educating these young people, you're setting up the future. You're setting them
right?
up for future
Yeah,
success because they're going to
yeah,
become parents
yeah.
and they're going to continue learning and their children are going to continue learning. So you're changing that whole mentality, that whole pattern.
Right.
Here's
I just,
here's the go ahead.
uh,
Go ahead.
I
Go
just
ahead.
wish we had an army. I wish we had an army of people like us. I really do. I wish it wasn't such a select few. But that doesn't make me despise our power and our ability, because I know that, you know, we are powerful beyond what we can imagine, and we can do things, and we are doing them. But I just know the power in numbers and the power of people tag teaming and like-minded, and pushing the same mentality. I don't want to call it an agenda. I want to call it a mentality, a culture. You know, a
Hmm.
culture. That's what we have in our school. We have a culture in our school. We have a certain way we speak. We have a certain way we conduct ourselves. We have a certain way we dress.
Right.
We have expectations. You know, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
No, I was just gonna just cross over to another topic because I really wanted to talk about the mental health of the students.
Mm,
How have you
wow.
guys seen any type of mental health deterioration as far as the student goes, and if you did, how are you dealing with that?
Well, we always deal with things with facts. We don't sugarcoat stuff. We don't tell them the tooth fairy is going to come save the day. So we have seen a high level of anxiety in our
Mm,
students
mm,
due to the fact they don't understand what's going on. I mean, you got to think of it. You're a kid, and the whole world stops. The only
right.
thing that you can think of is an apocalypse, right? That means a zombie's coming from somewhere. And I've had several people to ask this question. I'm telling you, this is the truth. I promise you, this is the truth. What are we gonna do if there's an apocalypse, or if the zombies gonna happen, or zombies and stuff? And is everyone gonna come to our house? You know, what you know? These are true questions, and they're freaking out. Is the school gonna open back up?
Mm,
These are real questions.
wow.
Man, I miss being around my friends. You know,
Mm,
that separation anxiety, you know?
wow.
So there are different levels. There are different levels of anxiety. You have the anticipatory anxiety. You have the low level, which is that separation. You know, like, and it happens to you. It's not your fault. You have nothing to do with it. But nevertheless, it's still anxiety. And you know, anxiety produces what? What is the serotonin? What was it? No, the other stuff that makes you stiffen up.
That makes you what?
Stiffen up makes you get hard. What's the chemical release? We were just talking about it the other
Oh,
day.
cortisone.
Cortisone. Yeah, the anxiety releases cortisone in your body, and this is what happens with a lot of our kids. So what we do is we do factual things. Okay, are zombies real? So we have to go step by step. Like, seriously, we have to go step by step. And the other night it didn't help. And this is kind of on topic and off. We were outside in the back of our house, and we have this park, and we were out jogging and walking, and all of a sudden we saw like 50 stars in line going in the same direction, and we were like, "What in the world?" So we were like, "That's not a meteor shower. That looks like a bunch of airplanes going in the same direction." So
Right.
I automatically assumed that there was a military operation.
Right.
Next day, I mentioned to someone. They were like, "Oh no, we saw it too," and we immediately looked it up. And they were like, "Oh, it was a satellite. They were aligning the satellites in space."
Wow.
Yeah, dude. So imagine our kids outside. They're already freaking out about what if the apocalypse gonna happen and all this other stuff, and they see that up in the sky. So we have more questions that we have to answer. And so we said, "Oh yeah, this is what it was we showed in the article," and it was actually an exercise. They had to get the satellites and stuff in order, whatever. But we answer questions with facts. Are these things real? Have you ever seen a zombie? You know, and so on and so forth. And so that's what we do. We go with facts. We go with the facts and go straight to the point. Don't beat around the bush, because once you make another bush, you gotta answer that bush too. So just go straight to it. Facts. Answer it with facts. And
And
just be a real.
and you're communicating with these children via Zoom,
Right.
or some sort of virtual platform, right?
Yeah, we use Zoom. We use Zoom. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And they get it?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
they do. Yeah, they do.
Nah,
They get it. And even that little bit of time that we spend with them, Zoom only gives you about 45 minutes
right.
to speak on there, and that small amount of time means the world to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because on Zoom you can see your other classmates and everyone's on there, and they still could communicate. They do little silly things like sending chats while I'm talking or teaching, but they don't realize that it shows me when they send chats. And I was like, okay, guys, all right, stop sending chat. It's fun. It's like, I mean, it's super cool, dude. It's so, like, when I say it's so cool, it's fun, and just to have them just interacting like that is so cool. And so we do other things too. Like we just did so we had the kids that did the best in attending all the classes and stuff, and we went around to their houses and we did drive-bys. We went over there
Mm.
with like, we call them super soakers, but they're not super soakers. They're not old school like the ones we had when we were younger. But we had the little squirt guns, and so the parents were all in on it. So they'll have them to come outside. The kids were like perplexed. They're like, "What's going on?" And we roll up in the cars and we jump out and say, "Congratulations for being, so consistent on your work." And we were shooting on water guns, throwing water balloons at them and stuff. And we handed them a care package, and then we took off. And it was
Nice.
just fun. It was
Nice.
fun, and that's the thing. That's what we do. We keep things lively and fun, and I think that's another tidbit for parents is to find out what your children like. What is what is something that's going to get them motivated?
Mm.
I don't care, dude, if they say, "Oh, I like comic books." Go on Amazon and order some comic books if they hit a milestone in their work. Reward. They love rewards. Even sometimes just saying something is good enough. Whereas my son and I, we're kind of different. We're tough. I look at him and I was like, "Good job. I'm proud of you." And that's all he needs. That's all he needs. And I'm like, we'll just walk off from each other and just go about our business. Because I don't want to. I grew up hard. Remember I said that before at the beginning. I grew up tough.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I'm sorry. Tough love is what shaped me and molded me. I am working on being sensitive. That's a line from what's it face I can't think of the movie right now. Golly. But anyways, but I am working on being a whole lot more sensitive, when it comes to those areas. And that's what I have my wife for. My wife, she balances me out because I can be just militant. Boom, 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 boom. Why
Nice.
isn't it this way? And I explain. And even when there are consequences, any one of my kids will tell you, I always explain why there is a consequence because of this insubordination. You know, when you're supposed to do this, now you are not allowed to do this now. And don't get mad at me. You should be mad at the person that's responsible for not doing this. And this is what teaches them as adults to be responsible for their own actions. This the thing I hate the most is when parents and people alike, they'll teach people how to make excuses, and they don't even match. I heard people, oh, the reason why my son failed the test is because the pencil wasn't sharp enough. That's like blaming a fork or a spoon for making someone fat. Like, come on, dude. Like, dude, that's unrealistic, and I'm realistic when it comes down to that, dude. I'm very professional and cordial. Okay, I'm not a loose cannon. I'm very professional. I choose my words very wisely. But people tell me I have a way with words, and I get straight to the point. And it pierced you, and we're all happy because I said what I had to say, and I said what was needed to be said. And you, as an adult, have nothing to argue with because I told the truth.
Man,
You know,
you know what? I want to ask this question. How do you virtually discipline a child? I
mm,
mean, because you're working with hundreds of young students
yeah,
every day. How do you virtually discipline them? And is that wise to discipline them virtually when you're not physically there?
right. You got to remember, it's still a case by case scenario. We have some kids that don't even have internet connection.
Hmm.
We have some kids who are practically raising themselves,
Hmm.
and then we have some kids that know better and they don't. And those are the ones that we can identify. We know. We spend so much time with the kids that we know exactly who they are. And thankfully enough, we haven't had that situation or issue. We have some stragglers who log on sometimes and don't log on, and we deal with them as such. So when we do things like drive-bys, or we send out care packages, we still make the beef jerky and stuff and things like that. We mail it out to like the winners of like the crazy hat day or something like that. We do crazy things like that. So and so it's not more or less like a disciplinarian. It's more or less like, hey, your actions and your decisions are causing you not to eat from this spread on this table.
Mm-hmm.
It's your choice still. It's up to you, but you have to take the first step in order to come to this table with this feast. So it's all a choice. Everything that we do at our school, any disciplinary action, we always make sure they understand that it all rose and fell on a choice. That was your choice, you know, and that's what we do. And so everything is always explained. I try to explain everything. One thing about me, if you ever want to like upset me, the worst thing that you can do is misunderstand what I'm saying.
You got 30 seconds to
Ah,
wrap this
I
up
see Miss
before
Mo
the
just
live
joined.
just
Ah,
ends. I mean, this has
wait,
been fun.
we got
We got to
it
do
is.
this again.
We do.
you
But
you you
let me
got
throw some
20
things in there too
seconds
for people.
to wrap this
All
up.
right, go to different websites, parents and educators, to make things fun, spice it up. There are tons of games out there. They're free. I'll keep looking down, but look up. But some of them, Zoom Live, of course, you can do that with your parent, with your students. Readworks.org, Brain Pop, Story Online, Math Playground. All these things are great tools for you to do at home. The kids love them. I had another parent that actually found a website that teaches the kids how to write coding, how to do coding for free. Go look that up. I mean, it's out there, guys. Just make things fun, spice it up. Go outside, do Montessori type learning, because Montessori is more hands-on, outside, out in the grass. Learning. Project learning, going outside and just learning about the world, and then associating back in the classroom. So, Glassine, man, we do have to do more of these things, man. You got to get Johnny on here
Hey
next.
man,
You got to get Johnny.
thank you so much
Yeah,
for coming, for taking the time out to be
absolutely.
with us. I mean, I know I'm better for it, and I know my audience is better for it, man. Thank you so much.
Man,
And
anytime.
we are out of here. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel nor my IG, hit me up at Glassstein. I am out of here. Peace. Hey, I know that was kind of heavy, but if you want to see more leadership tips like this that could take your leadership to the next level, click on this video right here, right next to me. I think you'll enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.